Hi there, welcome to Marble Halls TV, and I want to talk about a story that came up yesterday, I believe. I think it's either yesterday or Thursday regarding, shall we say, sorry for that echo, but I think I had it on YouTube too, but yeah. Shall we say our goodly owners, Mr. KSE and his son. Um, Basically what it was is that about the loan, because we took out a government loan. Um, Basically what it is that the Bank of England, that's Britain's central bank, has has, because of the pandemic and because a lot of companies are struggling, they offered a loan to British based organ companies, right? Essentially saying, okay, we'll lend you 120 just to cover your expenses, but you have to pay us back in a year. So that's essentially what they Arsenal applied for, and yeah, that's basically we've had to pay it back. Now the thing is that part of the terms of the loan, sorry, not terms, sorry, is that we actually borrowed a loan to pay off this loan. Now, you know, and this is an article from Arseblog. Um, Arseblog's obviously one of the biggest Arsenal podcasts, has been for a while, but this is an article from their website. So Arsenal have repaid £120 million loan to the Bank of England after making use of the COVID Corporate Financing Facility (CCF) to provide liquidity during the pandemic. The Gunners met the criteria for the loan in January and decided to take advantage of the scheme to help offset COVID-hit broadcasts and match their revenue schemes. Excuse me. While we could use the money to buy new, excuse me. While we could use the money to buy new players during the last transfer windows, it looks as though we did use some cash to pay off high-profile departures, including Skodran Mustafi and Socrates. The new interest on the loan, reported to be around £600,000 in total, made the terms particularly attractive, even though we knew it was going to have to be paid off by May. How did we repay it? That's not entirely clear at this point. Either KSC stuck their hands down the sofa and paid it off with some spare change, or, as the Athletic reports, we've taken out another loan from elsewhere, presumably on less favourable terms. CCFF loans have been provided to a variety of different businesses in the last year, with Spurs, Boots, and EasyJet all getting involved. In total, more than £18.8 billion has been lent to 55 businesses. Fuck, so all those years of austerity where we've had to save money and cut services has all been shot in about 18 months because of a pandemic, apparently. So, yeah. And Arsenal touches on the point that I want to raise. What are the terms of this deal? Now, I'm going to highlight that text there because that's essentially my thoughts on it. Thinking about this more, initially when I thought this, I thought, oh, KSE, you've just reinforced your wasteman credentials. But now I think of it, I think, you know what? I suppose it makes sense because if we were to pay off this loan, then it would have to be via our cash balance. I thought initially that we'll pay off the loan with the Premier League TV money that we'll get, because even if we finish as high as seventh, that's 100 million, right? So I thought maybe, but then again, maybe that has been factored in to cover for other costs, like obviously the stadium needs maintaining. We obviously have to pay wages to all the staff. We've got to maintain the training ground. So yeah, it's probably not that simple, but and also the cash balance of the club. I know a few years ago it was like £200 million, but it's probably fallen a bit since then. So I'd say it's maybe around 100 million. You can't just pay your own cash because that would seriously fuck the club up. If we needed to buy something urgently, then what, borrow again? You know, your liabilities can't be too high as an institution. So, you know, um, yeah. So that is my thoughts on this. That I have no problem with them getting a loan, but what are the terms of this new loan? You know, who's it from? Which bank? Which institution? How much interest do we pay per year? Is it a long-term loan, like over 10 years? Can we pay it off early? Or is there, what are the terms of the loan? What's the interest? What's the repayment schedule? Um, okay, let's say it's £120 million loan, right? Um, let's say we pay it off over 10 years. All right, cool. That's £12 million a year. That shouldn't seriously hurt us, especially since the stadium debt has been, well, we owe Cronky the stadium debt now more so than the bank, if that makes sense. Um, so I don't know. I just hope and trust that KSE know what they're doing, but honestly don't know. And another thing is that the club is not as transparent with its accounts as it used to be. Well, there's no obligation for it to be now because we're not a publicly owned traded company. KSE owes us 100%. So unless you're really working the Arsenal accounts department, or you know you're one of the board, or you're Vina, or you're Edu, I suppose Arteta, even though it's not his primary role in the club, would probably have to have some knowledge of the transfer budget and the general financial state of the club so he can spend money on players and stuff. Um, yeah, so that's that really. So my view on this is that you know, I suppose it is true that companies generally do finance their stuff through loans more so than their own resources or their own cash, which makes good business sense. But my own view or skepticism here is that what are the terms of this loan? How would it be financed? You know, is it a high interest rate? What is the is there a repayment schedule? Which we don't we just don't know. So yeah, thanks a lot for listening, everybody.